Hey bitch, and welcome back to the Weekly D. Today I have my good friend Athena Wolf joining me. Today, me and Athena just want to talk about the important subject of why is everyone such cunts on the internet? It's true though, right? So today we literally just talk about what sort of behaviors lead people to behave a certain way on the internet. We also talk about times that we have behaved in a certain way and why we feel we behave that way. And then we kind of go off scripts a little bit and then we come back with a summary at the end. This is a really interesting one, actually, and I really enjoy talking with Athena. So I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed doing it. So without further ado, this is the Weekly D. Because, honey, if you ain't getting your D on the daily, you better at least be getting it once on the weekly.
If you're not getting any and you want some tea, then come and join Dan up on the Weekly Tea. It's the Weekly Tea.
Good morning, Athena. How are you?
Hi, Dan. I'm really good. How are you?
Yeah, it's good to have you. Obviously, for anyone who is listening, they don't know this, but obviously, myself and Athena are good friends. We speak all the time. So this is going to be really good fun because we're just basically going to have a little bitch today, aren't we? We're just going to have a bitch about why people are such cunts on the internet, right?
Yes, the issue needs to be addressed.
Yeah, I think it's important that it is addressed because it is one of those things that is becoming more and more prominent with social media nowadays. And obviously, we're going to talk about why we feel people do that and why we feel people behave like that. But one thing I want to know before we get going is, have you ever behaved in like a certain way on the internet? Like, have you ever before now, obviously, I know you're a lot more chill now. You're very spiritual, positive mindset. But before now, has there ever been any times where you've been like, going onto
Absolutely.
people's pages? Go on, what did you do? Tell me.
Oh God, I was a total bitch to two quite big names of the pole industry. It was years ago, but yes.
Okay, so oh, so I assume you can't tell us who it is. In fact, no, let's not say names. Let's avoid
No,
names.
we won't
What
say
is
names, but yes, I did. I did it myself as well.
Right, okay. So give us the background. So like what give us roughly don't give us too much detail just in case people are like, "Oh, I know who that was." But tell
Okay.
us like, the background story and why you reacted the way you did.
Well, both of them did something that wasn't very ethical. Actually, one of them did something that wasn't ethical, and the other one was just acting like a dick. So
Mm-hmm.
I kind of pushed the buttons a little bit, and I was looking for attention. So I pushed the buttons. I posted. I screenshotted messages and did all the cunty stuff. Yes.
I think the thing is like, and for anyone who's listening to this, they're probably listening to this like, hold on, didn't Dan used to do stuff like this? I think it's really important to mention the used to do stuff like this. I actually see people doing stuff like this now, and like, I think, oh my God, this is like, I used to do that. And I'm like, oh, it's so cringeworthy. I'm like, why did I
It
do that?
is.
Or like, why did I behave like that? It's just so weird. But do you know what? I think to analyze why I did it, I think back then I used to think that if I behaved like that, that people would be like, oh yeah, go Dan, he's sticking up for what's right. He's sticking it to the man kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? It was just like there was something that I didn't like, I wasn't happy about it, and then I would kick off about it and I would post about it and I would shame that person and I would, look to cancel them and stuff.
Oh,
And
yeah.
now I see people do it and I'm like, oh, I'm like, is that what I used to do? I'm like, fuck, that is cringy. Like, it's so cringeworthy. I'm like, oh my God, I am so annoyed that I behaved like such a douchebag because it's just
Same.
like, it wasn't required. However, what I will say is that sometimes, sometimes people do need a reaction. Do you know what I mean? I think you've got to clap back sometimes. and and I can talk about this publicly because it's publicly all over my social media on Polols anyway. But when Anastasia Sokolova, do you remember when
Oh
she
yeah.
tried saying that Polols was a scam and stuff? I wasn't going to allow someone to do that. Like,
No,
it's not in my nature. It is not.
no.
But, if someone's going to be like, oh, Dan Rosen's pages are trash or whatever, I'm like, I ain't going to respond to that. I'm like, listen, I don't need to tell someone with 1,000 followers why a page with over 150,000 followers isn't trash. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I'm not being funny, honey, but I don't need to do that conversation. But if you're going to try and, make deflammatory comments and say that it's a scam, well, that's not cool. I don't think
Yeah,
that's
no, that's
acceptable.
different. That's
Yeah,
different.
it is different. And obviously I tried to inject a bit of humor into it, and some people didn't like that actually. Do you remember I made like the memes about it and stuff?
I
So I made the
remember.
memes, and it was one of those things. I just thought, how do I normally cope with situations like this? To make myself laugh. So although if I
Yeah.
make myself laugh, at least we can kind of just like laugh about it rather than taking it so seriously. But have you ever had anyone try to cancel you?
Oh, yes. Actually, it's funny because I talked about that situation a few days ago during my stretch class. I
Oh,
had to get it
okay.
off my chest. I was being canceled by a fellow contortionist. It was because people often they think like pole dancers are so dramatic, blah blah blah. Contortionists are not, and I'm like, no, 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 no. Wait a second, contortionists are just as dramatic. And yeah, so I was talking about it because she actually, I feel like she did me wrong because we were friends before that. And then she used that opportunity to talk trash about my teaching method. But on the other hand, she pushed me to go get a coach. So I got Olga. So at the end of the day, I'm very grateful to her, But
Yeah.
yes, I've been internet bullied and it sucked.
The thing is, you got to be grateful for it. Like I truly believe in the saying, like bad press is good press. The thing is, right? When people bitch about polos, or when people come onto the polos page and they chat their crap or whatever it is they want to do, and then they go onto their page and they're like, "Oh, have you all seen this on polos? Oh, rah rah rah!" And then people are like, "Oh, polos, I don't know what that is, so I'm gonna go and have a look at it." And then they
Yeah,
go onto my page, and you know what? Even if they don't follow me, the fact that they've looked on my page is increasing my engagement. So I'm just like, thank you, babes. I appreciate your support, and truly I do. And I'm not even just saying that as a sarcastic comment. Like it's true. Like if you're going to send people to my page, I need to be grateful for that shit because I appreciate it.
Dan. Oh, okay.
Yes.
You froze for a second.
Oh, okay. Yeah, don't worry. I'm still here. Um, so yeah, so it's just one of those things. I think you got to be grateful for it, haven't you? Because they're doing you a favor, really. They're raising
Absolutely.
awareness of who you are. And then once you've
Absolutely.
looked at someone's page, they're going to start popping up on your feed a little bit more. And if I always say to people, like, it makes no sense. If I wanted to, sort of cancel someone or like, do that, the best thing to do nowadays is just to not engage with their content. If you don't engage with their
Yes,
content, you're not giving them what they want. So yeah.
exactly.
And have you had any other situations where you've been cancelled, like similar? Has anyone been like anything where you've done something or said something? Like, have you ever said something and people have been like, "Oh my God, like she's a bitch."
Yes, like that was when I was being a bitch. Then some other big name poller went on about how I'm so childish and I'm a bitch and blah blah. But yeah, but nothing too serious.
No, I think. Do you know what? Like, I think sometimes you have to be a bit childish. I know sometimes I feel like it. I'm just like I did with, and I admit, like with the Anastasia Sokolova thing. Once I'd kind of put her in her place and told her how I felt, and just told her to like stop behaving the way she was behaving, I then started making the memes. And yeah, was it a bit childish? Sure. But it made me laugh and it made a lot of other people laugh. We were having a
Exactly.
good time because you have to take the funny side of every situation. And obviously part of that was quite hilarious because of the fact that it was just the whole situation was just so ridiculous. Do
I
you know what I
love the
mean?
memes. Personally, I laughed as well.
Right. But I think we one thing I've noticed, I don't know if you've noticed this, I feel like people that kick off on social media or cause any sort of like drama on social media. I don't. Is it Gen Z? Is that what it's called? What's because we're millennials, right? Are we millennials?
What? I
Have you
don't
not heard
know.
of this? So you've got like millennials, you've got like Gen Z, which is I think the one below us. So millennials are people like born. Oh God, I can't. I don't even know. I think a millennials like because I'm a 1988. That's when I was born, and I know that I count as a millennial. Like if "Hit Me Baby One More Time" was like a song that you listened to when you were
Okay,
younger, then you're a
totally.
millennial. Do you know what I mean? When
Okay.
you hear that type of music, and then obviously you've got the younger generation that they know the song, but they they're more like the next generation. I feel like it's that generation of pole dancers that are behaving this way, that are
Yes.
they constantly want to cancel people, they constantly want to kick off about stuff. They Everything's problematic. Oh my God, can we talk about that as well? In fact, we're going to come on to that in a second. But have you ever noticed that it is that younger generation? Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? I never ever see like I'm trying to think of people like you got like me, Charlotte Robertson, Lisette Kroll, Sam King. I'm trying to think of big names. Sarah Scott, Michelle Shimmy, Maddie Sparkle. People who have been doing this for a long time, and people who are nearer to my age. Um, oh, and I'm 34, by the way. Anyone who's wondering how old I am, but anyone around that sort of age, I've always noticed it's never them. You never see them
No,
kicking off. It's very, very rare. And if they are kicking off, it's generally about something that really is something that's really, really bad. But it's always the younger generation, and it's always about stuff that I sort of think was that an issue? I didn't realize
I
that was an
know.
issue. It's just yeah. Have you noticed that? Do you notice the same thing?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's the babies. Like compared to us, they are babies, and yes, they're the ones always getting angry and offended about everything.
But why do you think it's, that generation that do that, and why do you think it triggers them so much more than it triggers people like our age?
Oh, I think it's just normal. I think if we were at their age right at this moment, we would probably be doing the same thing, you know. It's
Yeah.
normal. Like you people like a bandwagon, people like to click with a community. People really enjoy actually as humans we enjoy following. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that is also a big part of it. I think one person gets started. I mean, literally, what? Just the other day, I had people kicking off about a Tuesday topic, and nothing. So I don't really see all the messages, by the way. So if anyone's listening to this, like, bitch, why haven't you read my message? I don't deal with the messages. So I've got someone called Nadia who edits this podcast. Hey, Nadia. And Nadia basically goes through all the messages and stuff. So if you ever write anything, that's who you're dealing with is Nadia. But and Nadia had messaged me saying like, you know, the weird part is that it went ages with no one saying anything. No one mentioned
I
anything. No one
know.
was
Nobody
offended.
kicked off immediately.
But then one person kicked off, then whoom, loads of other people. People who were not offended became offended because they were
Yes.
like, oh, yes, offense. I want to be offended. I'm going to be
Yes.
offended by this. Why? I'm
It's like
like,
you ring a little bell, you know, and everybody just comes to the bell like, I'm on it, I'm on it.
I don't. I've struggled to understand that. I just don't get it, and I just don't understand why people care enough. It also makes me wonder, like, where do people get the time? Do you know what I mean? Like, where do people actually get the time?
I know. You know, it's funny because your Tuesday topic is always before my group class, and every Tuesday we bitch about your Tuesday topic. Like if it's interesting. If it's
Yeah,
interesting, because we've had a few boring ones where I was like, oh, not even worth mentioning. But
I'm
but
gonna say as
every
well. I'm going to mention as well on the podcast, by the way, if anyone ever sees these Tuesday topics and they're like, oh, that's a bit controversial, well, guess who you can thank for that? You can thank Athena for that because she messages me every Tuesday
Yes.
morning saying, Dan, what's the Tuesday topic? And I'm like, okay, well, this is the most recent one that's been sent in. And she's like, oh, that one's boring. So if your
It's,
Tuesday topic has also never made it onto Polos, this is the reason why. This
yeah,
girl right
this is
here.
yeah. It's my fault. Yeah, because I can't entertain a whole class with a Tuesday topic that's like, what can I do if my feet are always dirty after doing pole? It's like, I don't know. It's just boring. At least my group class has a great time commenting your Tuesday topics, just so you know.
The thing is, right, people, Tuesday topic, let's talk about Tuesday topic while we're here. Like, Tuesday topic, people are always like, oh, Dan just posts Tuesday topic for the clout. Dan posts Tuesday topic for
But
the, just to get people arguing or whatever. Let me be 100% clear. That is 100% why I do it.
yeah,
Not sorry. Actually, I take that back. It's not to get people arguing. That I don't want. I want people to debate because
yeah.
in my eyes, Tuesday topic is a great way to kill two birds with one stone. It allows people to have a debate about topics that, people wouldn't normally want to talk about and attach their own name to it because if they did, they'd get cancelled. But it
Yes.
also means that my engagement gets up because on Instagram now, it's freaking hard to get people watching your content. Getting your
Oh,
engagement
yeah.
up on social media is so hard. So it really was my idea of being like, right, how can I create some content that's going to create lots of engagement, but is also going to be of use to the community? Well, do you know what? Yeah, sometimes, and there have been times where I've taken topics down and I've apologized for it. I've been like, actually, upon reflection, I've realized that actually this is not a useful subject for whatever reason. But then nowadays, Nadia will look at them or I'll look at them and we'll kind of sift through them and be like, what's going to be, an issue to post. But it's one of those things people don't understand how the internet works. They're like, oh, Dan posts this for clout and just to get loads of people commenting on his stuff. I'm like,
Yes.
100%. That's why. Yeah, that's
Yes.
exactly why I do it.
Yes.
But people don't understand that, and I think again, this comes down to this whole like you won't know until you run a page of that size, until you have a business attached to the page of that size.
Oh, yeah.
My business relies on that. So when people say, oh, he just does it for the comments, I'm like, yeah, well, because if lots of people comment, it means my engagement gets up. If my engagement gets up, it means lots of people are going to go to my page. If lots of people go to my page, they might see an advert. If they see an advert, they might buy something. And that's how social media works. When you see these
Absolutely.
meme pages, and like I'm obviously a meme page, but I'm a meme page specifically for polls, so I have a bit more of a responsibility to be responsible with what I post. But some of these meme pages will post some, oh god, some terrible stuff, and it'll get the comments that they want, but it'll be
Absolutely.
but it'll be a lot of negative. It'll be a lot of negative feedback, but that's how we do it. It's how we get our engagement because it's what we have to do in these times. You know what I mean?
I
Um,
just loved how you reacted to this week's provocation because I said that on my after your Tuesday topic on my class. I was like, I see people are kicking off about, but you know what annoyed me? It's that under that topic, you clearly stated that
yeah,
any negative comment or so will be deleted. So
yeah.
you obviously stated that, but people
Well,
just screenshotted the topic without
mm,
screenshotting what you wrote under. But then I was telling my students, I was like, yeah, it annoyed me. And I did want to reply to someone to say, but he did that. But at the end of the day, I was just like, it's not too big of an issue anyway. I mean, when you had that issue with Anastasia, I was there. But with this, I was just like, oh, I don't want to get involved. Like, why would I
but it's
get
not
involved?
worth it. It's not worth
No.
it. It's not worth the argument. Truly, it's just not worth it. It's just you'd just be wasting your time. So, like, what's the point in arguing with people who can't be argued with? And that's the difficulty. And this is something I've learned over the years. Therapy has taught me a lot, and Oh my God, to anyone who is on the internet arguing with people, truly like go to therapy, not because you need a therapist because you're crazy. And I think I've always attached that with that, to be like, oh, therapy, I'm not crazy. No, I'm fine. Honestly, therapy is like the most therapeutic thing to really unpack your previous traumas and how they affect you in your life. The reason why I think I've done so much sort of like kicking off on the internet before now is because of previous trauma. If I
Yes.
There was a situation again years ago, this one was, but where I'd posted something saying that I wasn't happy about the way a company was behaving, because I was being excluded from something. And that 100%, I remember speaking to my therapist about this, and I was saying to her, I was like, I look back at that now and I think, why was I so bothered? Why the fuck did I care? Like, I would never go to that event now. I wouldn't, it's one of those things where I'm like, and it wouldn't have even been that good. Like, if I'd actually gone, it would have been such an anticlimax. So if I'd got what I wanted and they said, okay, you can come, I would have gone and been like, oh, you
No.
know what I mean? It would have been shit. But at the time, I think my inner child, the child that was bullied at school, well, this is what
Yeah.
me and my therapist think it was. The child that was excluded from everything at school, that none of the kids wanted to hang out with, that bullied child felt like he was being attacked again and that he was being excluded from something. But he didn't like that because he's an adult now and he feels like he should be allowed to be in everything. So it was really a learning process for me, not only about that particular issue, but also about myself, because it really made me think like, oh my God, like this is 100% from past trauma. And I hadn't really realized it, but therapy did that. So like I said, for anyone who has never had therapy before, 100% go and do it. Do you have any triggers from any previous traumas that do trigger you when you're on the internet? Anything that you see that you think, oh my God, like,
Oh,
anything like
yes.
that?
Absolutely, absolutely. Like, I don't even know how I would translate them without going now too deep into it. But yes, absolutely. And these days, I'm triggered when I see somebody who is kicking off so much about something, because it's kind of like a mirror of somebody I was in the past,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, it's
Mm,
awful, it's really, really awful, especially doing it on the internet, because I think like those two times where I was bullying someone and kicked off about something, I remember I was in a very unhappy space in my life.
mm-hmm.
And yeah, I was not balanced at all. So I don't see why somebody would try to cancel anyone if they're nicely, smoothly balanced and if they're happy with themselves.
Agreed. And that's exactly, yeah, I agree with that. I think if you are behaving like that on the internet, there's definitely something more there. Don't get me wrong. I do, like I said, there has to be a balance. Like, I think sometimes you do have to clap back and sometimes you have to defend yourself and sometimes you
Yeah.
have to say things, but it's very rare. Like, again, probably the last time I really needed to do that was with that Anastasia situation. Which is still on my story highlights, by the way, for anyone who wants to go and check that out. But it was something that I thought, no, I can't allow people to say that I'm scamming people, because that is
Mm.
so bad for me. Because if people actually believe that and think that I'm scamming people, like, what the fuck? I was trying to help people. So obviously, when you're trying to do something good and people then call you a scammer, that's just absolutely not acceptable. But
Yeah.
when I see some people like, trying to kick off or tag me, I mean, sometimes people message me and I won't actually see it for weeks, or Nadia will see it and she'll just be like, she just deletes them. And then she'll be like, oh yeah, we had someone message a few weeks ago complaining about that. And I'm like, oh. And it
Oh.
makes me just think like, you have to be in such a bad place to be sat at home and to see something on the internet and be like, I'm gonna take time out of my day now to record a story. I'm gonna record a story for 3 minutes. This is 3 minutes of their time. And obviously they might not record it correctly the first time, so they might record it again.
Yeah.
Because maybe the first time didn't look good. So 10, 20 minutes we'll say, spent. And it's like, honey, we only live one life. Like, I don't have 20 minutes to dedicate to you. I just don't. I used to. And I used to be one of those people that would bite back all the time. If someone like wrote to me or kicked off, I'd write back. and now I don't even open the messages. I literally, if they're in my request folder and I see it is even starting negative, I just swipe it and delete it. But actually, this is the reason why I don't look at my messages anymore, and that's why I let Nadia deal with it, because
Good.
mental health wise, it's actually very hard to see stuff like that because it isn't personal. But it feels personal. You know, people are talking about the Tuesday topic. They're talking about the instructor who's made that post or whatever. It's not necessarily personal against me as a person. It's personal against the page, and it's personal against the person who has made the Tuesday topic, possibly. But I always got to remember that this is the internet. It's not about you. It's about them. You know, they feel the need to do this, so don't take this so personally. But I don't look at the messages anymore because it really winds me up, and it really makes me want to reply. So if you've ever tagged me and stuff, or you've tried to, you know, write online about me, Nadia will have seen it and she will have just deleted it. Because it's not worth our time. We don't have the time to deal with it. And there was times when I used to reply and I just don't get the time. Like, do you, when people message you and they like, do you ever post stuff? Because obviously you're quite controversial. You're a bit of a controversial one. You'll post stuff on like on your social media about politics or whatever, and you'll tell people
Yes.
how you feel. So I assume you must get people reply to that.
Usually I get support messages.
Wow. So you don't ever get people say, "Oh, actually, Athena, you
Yes,
know,
I did get, actually, now that I come, yes, I remember a few months ago, it was about the whole Novak thing. Obviously, I'm a huge Novak fan and I support every one of his decisions. And somebody replied to my story and was trying to like kick off about my point of view, etc. And I remember that I did argue with her a little bit until I just blocked her. I was like, why am I doing that? Go away from my page. This is my page.
right."
And I
I
had, like, I think it was that contortion instructor. I'm not gonna name her, the one who tried to cancel me.
Yeah.
She used to send her students, like, she really had something against me. She used to send her students to stalk my page. And one of them would always reply to a story of mine when they would see one of my students and they would be like, oh, yeah, this is not done correctly. This is that. This is this. They would reply to my posts. And at first, I was arguing with them. But afterwards, I was just like, okay, I'm going to block her, her school, all of her students. Bye bye.
Yeah, you just, it's not worth the time. And do you know what I noticed as
No?
well is that I would reply or I would, you know, clap back and I would argue back. And then I'd feel more anxious because then I'm waiting for their
Yes,
reply. So I just thought if I just acknowledge this and just then delete it, nothing else comes from this because they've not got
exactly.
the reaction that they want. So they're not going to post anymore because I've not even seen it. And that's the thing. That's the good thing now is I don't even see it. Um, you know, so it's one of those things. I don't deal with the Polars page, thank God, because I, you know, from what she tells me, there come, you know, every now and then there are messages where people are like, oh, I think, you know, that fail is really dangerous. I don't think you should have shared that. Blah blah blah. It's like, honey, don't come on here and try and tell us how
Yeah,
to run our page. Like, if you don't like it, just unfollow for fuck's sake. Like, I don't give a fuck what you
just
think.
go. Yeah.
Just go. Exactly. It's just like I don't care if you like it or not. I'm not doing this for you specifically. I'm doing this for the 150,000 people that do enjoy it, not you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. And I think that's
No.
important to say. The same way your content, you know, you're like what you said about Novak Djokovic. And so this was about when he you're talking about when he didn't get vaccinated or something,
Yes.
and he went to that competition. I mean, everyone was like, "Oh, why didn't you just get vaccinated?" Blah blah blah. And he'd just been at a party or something like the day before, or whatever. You know, it's one of those things. Like, you're entitled to your opinion. You know, you don't have to agree with it. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I might not agree with it. So, like what you said, I can't remember the whole situation at the time. But let's say, for example, I didn't agree with it. That doesn't mean that I'm going to unfollow you. That doesn't mean that I'm going to message you and be like, Athena,
It's really funny because our opinions actually are so different on so many subjects.
yeah,
Like when it comes to that vaccine, when it comes to so many things, but like we're friends, we discuss about it, we make fun of each other, we move on. Yeah.
It's
You
like,
know?
yeah, it's like, so before, for anyone listening to this, when we first started this podcast, we were just chatting to each other, and before we pressed record, I was making jokes to Athena. I was like, put your like earphones in for this. She was like, I don't have earphones. I was like, why don't you have earphones? And Athena was like, oh, I just don't have them. I was like, oh, is it because you don't want to put them in your ears because the government might try and control you
Yeah,
through the earphones? You know, and I'll just make a joke about it. Obviously, for me, some of the stuff that I think Athena talks about, I believe as conspiracy theories, but she doesn't think that. And that's her decision. I'm not going to be like,
exactly.
bitch, you're a crazy bitch. Because you know what? One day we might look back at this and be like, fuck, babe, you were right the whole time. You know,
Yeah, I
when
know that day
people,
will come soon then.
it's like, well, it's like loads of people thought that COVID wasn't going to be a thing. Loads of people, like, I was one of them. I remember messaging a studio who'd booked me for workshops. She was the first one to message me, Marlene. Marlene, if you're listening, hi, babe. Um, and Marlene was messaging me like, Dan, we're going to have to cancel this because, you know, basically it's all kicking off here. And I was skiing at the time. I was like, babe, chill. Like, it's fine. Let's not cancel them yet. No, no, I have to cancel them. Sorry. Like, we're going into a lockdown. I was like, no, you're not. No one's going into a lockdown. Then she messaged me a couple of days later, Dan, we're in lockdown. I was like, what? So then I was like, oh, fuck. Then there's an announcement that France is about to go into a lockdown. I was like, shit, this is actually happening. I was like, I can't believe this. She was right. I was like, she was right. But obviously, at the time, you're like, oh, she's crazy. No, it's fine. It's fine. So it just goes to show, doesn't it? It's one of those things where you're like,
Yeah, it's
you,
just an opinion. Like, it's I had actually somebody who stopped training with me because I was anti-vax.
what?
Yes. And I was just
Training
like,
with
okay then, bye honey. Online. They stopped training me online because I was anti-vax. And I was like, oh, okay then, bye-bye. But it's like, how far does it go? It's my opinion. Have your own.
so
Let's
okay,
train.
let's delve into that. Okay, so let's talk about, so you lost income. I mean, we're talking one person. I'm sure she was
Yeah,
replaced very
I
quickly.
did.
But you know, you lost income over your opinions. So
Yeah,
now begs the question, is it worth, at this point posting your opinions on it?
no. No, it's why I'm not posting anymore.
Right, 100%. And I agree with you. This is why, when people post stuff or whatever, and they're like, oh, everyone needs to share this because we need to raise awareness. I'm like, absolutely not.
No.
I'm not going to do it, unless it's about something that's super important. I think that's really important to mention for anyone listening to this. You know, I think sometimes you got to ignore things unless it's about something that really matters. Racism, transphobia, homophobia, women's rights. These are things we need to shout about, but there are certain things that I think you can just leave them. Do you know what I mean? Like when you fall out with someone on the internet, fall out with them over something that's going to be really detrimental to your friendship. If I've got a friend posting racist shit, you best
Yeah,
believe I ain't going to be friends
of,
with them no more. Right.
obviously.
I
Obviously.
think I just wanted to put that out there because obviously we have talked about how, oh, if my friend's got different opinions to me, I'm not going to fall out with them. That obviously
No,
is,
that's not, yeah.
does not apply to things of such great
Mhm.
importance like,
Absolutely not.
racism, homophobia, transphobia, and all these sorts of issues that come under that umbrella. But I think, if they're going to post and say, oh, for example, like lots of people like Boris Johnson, and obviously he's just resigned, but lots of people are really unhappy that he's gone, and that's okay, and if I'm honest, when it comes to the whole Boris Johnson thing, I feel indifferent because I don't really care. I know that whether he's gone or not, we're going to get someone else who's just as shit, So
Yeah,
I am
another
very much
asshole is gonna come up. Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, we're gonna end up with someone else who's shit. So, yeah, great. I'm so glad he's gone, but let's see who else is gonna come in and do just as shite a job. Oh, hey, babes. Sorry to interrupt. It's just me, real quick. Do you ever have times where you're sat at home and you're thinking, oh, I wish my shoulder mount was stronger, or I wish I could shoulder mount, or I wish I could do an invert, Or I wish I was able to do an INX. Well, let me help you. Come over and give my online strength and conditioning program a try. This is a program you can do from the comfort of your own home. All you need is a pole and a rocking attitude, and you'll be able to take class with me. We do 3 live classes every week, and you can catch up on hundreds of videos which are already on the site. So make sure you check out the Pole Destroyers. See you there. What one thing I wanted to talk to you about was and I want to ask you first how you define this, because again, this is something that's come up on the internet, and I want to talk about it because it really, really winds me up. The word problematic. What do you consider to be problematic behavior? Like if someone said, you know, this is problematic, what would you attach it to? What sort of situations do you consider problematic? I'm just intrigued to know.
Oh, problematic. I would totally attach it to my past self. Like,
Okay.
drug abuse and all that comes with it. I don't see any other, like, that's problematic.
Yeah. So for me, I would say like racism again, problematic,
Oh,
homophobia, problematic. Like when I think of the word problematic, like drug abuse, you know what I mean? Like people who are harming their bodies with drugs, I think that's like quite problematic. Or people, promoting drug abuse maybe could be
yeah.
problematic. These are things that are like real, real important to me, like things that I feel strongly about, and I think a lot of people feel strongly about because it's a worldwide issue. And I keep saying racism first because obviously it's just kind of top of the agenda, really, especially since 2020. And so I consider that problematic. Now, and as you know, because we have spoken about it, when people use the word problematic to describe memes or stupid things, it boils my piss. Oh my god, it makes me so. Oh, hold on. Do you even know?
Ah,
Have you heard that?
okay.
Have you heard that expression before?
That it boils your piss?
Yeah.
No.
If someone says it boils your piss, it's just like it just makes you really angry. It makes
But
you
it's
so
funny because
angry.
I never, like the word problematic, I would never associate. I think it's also like a lot of a language barrier because as as a foreigner, I would never associate problematic um with something like a meme. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I know. See, I don't think that's a language barrier. I think that's just being normal.
Okay.
Because,
Okay, fair
yeah, I
enough.
think because memes are humor intended. Now, obviously, it depends what the meme is about. Of course, let's say, for example, it was a meme about, trans women or something. It's taking the piss out of them or something.
No,
That
yeah,
that
that's
is obviously problematic in its behavior in the sense that it's giving into transphobia. But to say so, the meme at the time, just for context for people listening, the meme at the time was about people climbing the pole super slowly at the beginning of combos.
I
We've
remember
all
that.
we've all we've all done it, haven't we? We've all watched a video and we've been like, "Oh, come on, bitch! Like,
Come
hurry up,
on.
get to the top of the pole because I want to see what you're gonna do. Like, come on, let's see it." And then people who shall not be named come on and say, oh, what does this say for beginners? This is problematic. I'm like, sweetie, like, that is what a privilege to be able to say that you think that a meme is like you've obviously been through no hardship in your life
No,
or no, you've never suffered racism, homophobia, transphobia, you've never suffered anything of that level to think that this a meme with kind intentions to be funny is problematic. But actually
problematic.
it does actually make me think because you've just said that about how, you know, maybe it's a language barrier. So now I'm wondering because actually the two people I'm thinking of who did kick off about it, they are from a different country. Um,
Yeah.
well, one's from Switzerland, I know, but the other one I don't know where the other one's from. So I'm just like, actually, maybe it is. Maybe they use the word problematic for all sorts of things. Who knows? So it could be,
Maybe.
but just for me, it really winds me up because I'm just a bit like, I save that word because it really means something. If I say that someone's being problematic, that means something to me. Like, if I say someone is being problematic, you better listen because it's about to be about something real serious. But if we waste the word problematic on things like memes, it then devalues what we're saying. If you're going to say that racism is problematic, but also a meme about
I
climbing a
mean,
pole, that's actually that is just not cool. I just wish that they'd said, it's okay as well, by the way, for people listening, to be upset by a meme. Memes aren't for everyone. Humor is subjective, of course. But I wouldn't have called it, for me, I probably wouldn't have called it problematic. I probably would have, if I, in their situation, what I should have done was gone on and been like, hey, not sure I like this meme. I don't agree with it because I think that it's not encouraging for beginners. I think beginners need to be taught that climbs are beautiful, blah, blah, blah. And climbs are beautiful. I agree. But to say, oh, this is problematic. No,
it's too
honey. Like,
much. And it's
it's
on
too
a
much.
meme page. It's not like you posted, if somebody would have posted that on their instructor account, and then you could be like, you could want to comment on it. But
Mm.
commenting on a meme and kicking off about a meme, it's like, don't you have better shit to do with your day?
Yeah, I mean, it is that whole thing. Like you say, I don't get the time to do shit like that. And that on that
But you know
day,
what? Again, you posted that meme for clout. Maybe they commented for clout.
right, and actually that's a separate thing. Funny enough, actually, that one I didn't even think would be for clout. I didn't even know if it would be that popular. It was made by someone else. So Ariel Atlas, by the way, if you're listening, this is your fault because that was your fucking meme, bitch. You made that meme, so you should take the fucking blame for this. But I just saw it and I just related to it. It was relatable, so I knew lots of people would comment on it for clout, maybe because it's relatable, not because it's offensive, because it is so relatable. Because we've all done it. But it's
Yeah.
that whole thing of like you said about the clout thing. The people who commented and I'm talking about, they're people that I respect, they're people that I like, and people that I would still even today take lessons from, and I I just feel that they should have known better and they should have behaved differently because they should know better because they're in a position, well, one of them is in a position in the industry where they're quite well known. They're fairly well known anyway, to the point where they probably should have known better. And it's just, but the funny thing is, and what makes it even funnier is that that person probably thinks that because she was blocked from the page, like she was blocked from Polo, she was blocked from my page, because I just thought, I don't want any risk of this happening again. That doesn't mean that I don't like you. And I think we attach so much to social media to be like, oh, if I'm
Yes.
blocked, it means they hate me. Not at all. If I
No.
saw her tomorrow, I'd be like, hey, I'd be like, how are you? I'd be like, I'm coming to your class tomorrow. I can't wait. And funny enough, actually, I actually think I might be going to her class soon because I think she's judging, maybe she's judging Exotic Generation. I don't know. But I'm going to go to her class because I love her stuff. And she's a great teacher. Great teacher. And I just want to put that out there because if anyone is working out who I'm talking about, and I'm not going to say her name, if anyone is working out who I'm talking about, I want it to be 100% clear that I really like her. And she's great. And I love her stuff. But I expect people to behave a certain way on social media. And if you don't behave that way, you're not going to be allowed in my space, and that's okay. You're entitled to behave how you want. It's
Yeah,
just you can't be allowed to behave that way in my space. Do it on your own page, but don't come onto my page and do that. So but tell me,
exactly.
why do you think people do that on people's pages? Why do you think people go onto other people's pages and start commenting this stuff and then telling people to go and look at their comment and be like, oh, I just commented here, go and have a look at my comment, like my
Yeah.
comment and stuff? Why do people do that? Where do you think that comes from?
Well, I first used to think that maybe they are so, you know, deeply concerned about the issue that they have to comment and let everybody know about their comment. But then I thought, like, if people were really as genuine as they pretend to be on social media, the world would be such a better place than it really is. So obviously, the concern part for most issues, I think, is fake,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
especially for issues like that. I'm not talking about important issues like war, racism,
Yeah.
transphobia, homophobia, but like these issues, it's fake. The concern, they could have gone about with their day without even commenting. So it's definitely, I think, a sense of superiority. I think that's what it is.
Maybe a sense of superiority, wanting their voice to be heard. I remember RuPaul doing a podcast once, and he was talking about the hate that he gets on social media, and he gets a lot of hate actually. Um, and he said, I don't take offense to it. He said, because these are people that just want to be noticed. It's a please notice me. Like, look, this is my comment.
Mm,
Like, look at me. Like, I have something to say, and my opinion is valid, and I want you to notice me. And when he said that, I remember thinking, oh my God, because that's what I used to do. And I
mm,
literally, I was embarrassed because I was like, that was me. I used to
yeah,
do that. That's what I used to do. And don't get me wrong, if something does genuinely bother you enough, I do think you should be able to comment. I don't think it means that you should have to ignore it. I think you should be able to comment. However, I think you should comment and be be calm in your response and not be looking to get a reaction, not be looking to get clout or anything. Just be like, in that scenario, just be like, hey, just to let you know, like when I was a beginner, I really struggled with climbing. So for me, actually, I really love climbing, and it's such a big thing for me. And for my students, I really make a big thing of climbing because I feel like it's such an essential part of their journey. So I don't really appreciate memes like this because actually it doesn't apply to me at all. However, that's just me. You know, have yourself a great day. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we can be respectful at the same time. But then when people start like, oh, this is problematic, I'm like, sweetie, you don't even know what problematic means by the
no,
sounds of it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, this is not problematic. Please stop devaluing the word.
this
But
is not problematic.
it makes me wonder, does it come from, because from my point of view, it came from two places. It came from one place of just being hurt as a child, I think, and so much of my inner child was being pushed out like at that point, because I think like it sometimes leads into that whole like, I feel like I want to defend myself, and I feel like I want to, because I'm an adult now and I can defend myself. I'm not going to let these bullies bully me like they did at school. I think that's part of it. But I also think that part of me thought that if I behaved like that, I would get, loads of like followers from it, and that I'd get loads of respect from people in our industry, like yeah, Dan, go Dan, you do that. But actually, what it did was it put a lot of people off me. There's probably people even still today who think Dan is such a dick, and you know what? I am a dick.
Yeah,
I can admit I am a dick. I do agree with them.
yes,
But I'm a dick. I'm a dick with a good heart. That's the one thing you will
yes,
never be able to say about me, is that I have an ill-intentioned heart. I do not. That's one thing I just don't have. Um, but I am a dick. I can
mhm,
admit it. I'm happy to admit it. It's fine. But it came from a place of good. And with this person again, with these people, I think theirs probably came from a place of good. But I think it came from a place of, notice me. Like, why, why is this Polol's page getting all this attention? Why am I not getting any of this attention?
maybe, yeah,
Do you know what I mean? I might be wrong. I might be completely wrong. And if I am, I apologize. But this is more just the psychoanalysis of it, really, is why do people do it? Do you have any thoughts on that?
yeah. I think you're right because, like, first when I said it was a superiority thing, it's because that person does have a big following, so it's like why would they need the attention? But yeah, the Polos is getting all the attention. I need to kick off about one of your posts, Dan.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
I find it intriguing because I feel like there could be so many different reasons why they do it. They could be doing it because the subject particularly triggered them. Like I said, it might be that they learned climb and it took them a whole year to learn how to climb. So for them, they might be like, this is really triggering for me because I did not find that easy at all. So, and it can come from so many different things. And I find it really interesting. And I try to think about that a lot. When I see people behave a certain way on the internet, I think, where is this coming from? Is is this genuinely because they're upset, or is this coming from a place of hurt? Is this coming from a place of, I have suffered with these problems before, or whatever? Where is it actually coming from? I think it's really important to think about that before you react, because if people are offended by something, sometimes it's best to not argue with them because they sometimes just need that moment to really process the way they feel about it. And it's funny because, as well, don't you find it hilarious that when people kick off about shit on the internet, it always, literally the next day, 24 hours, it's gone. No one
It's
cares anymore.
forgotten. It's
It's forgotten.
absolutely, yeah. You cannot cancel someone on the internet because they'll be canceled for a few days, and after that, everyone moves on.
A really famous pole dancer, right? Well, I mean, I think she's really famous. Old school pole dancer. She posted something that was quite transphobic. And I messaged her and said, like, babe, you have to delete that because that's going to really rub people up the wrong way. And it did because of how, well, problematic. We can use it for this because
Yes.
it was problematic. You know, transphobia is just not cool. And it was a meme. I'm going to say what it was. So I'm going to put a trigger warning as well at the beginning of this podcast because we've talked about lots of triggering stuff. But it was a meme about, it was like, oh, teaching your kids nowadays is so hard because you have to teach them about the birds and the bees who now want to be birds, the birds who don't identify as a bee or a bird. It was basically taking the piss out of, you know, people who
Mm.
don't identify as anything, you know,
Yes.
non-binary people. It's taking the piss out of people who want to transition. And it was offensive. Even I saw it, and I'm not trans, and I was offended by it.
I
I was
know.
like,
Yeah.
it was horrible. Um, and she was defending it, being like, well, you know, the reason I posted it is because not because I think that what they're doing is wrong. It's because, you know, it is true. It's so much harder to explain things to kids nowadays because there's so much. And I got what she was trying to say, but I was like, I feel it could have been communicated different. You know what I mean? I think
Yeah. Yeah.
people know what they're doing. And if people have messaged saying, listen, this is the way we feel about this, shouldn't you maybe take that and be like, you know, actually, maybe what I have done here is not great. Do you know what I mean? So things like that, I think behavior like that can be an issue. Do you know what I mean? So when you see things like that, I think that, you know, can get you cancelled. However, then 2 days later, everyone's forgot about it. No one's even mentioned it since. And
Yeah.
actually, I remember speaking to someone was talking about something similar subject, and I remember saying, "Oh, do you remember seeing so and so's post about that?" And they were like, "No." I was like, there was a big kickoff about it. Everyone was like, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
So not
It's all
everyone sees
forgotten.
it. It's all forgotten, and so many people don't see. And that's the thing, actually. That's the issue with social media. Is not everyone's going to see your content because probably only 40% of your following will see your content anyway. So that means only 40% are going to see it. And how many of that 40% are going to be offended by it? And how many of those people that are offended by it are going to post about it? And it's true, like it has to be something really big for people to kick off about. But I yeah, I just isn't it funny how people forget so quickly?
Yeah, people forget, people move on. And I mean, that's a good thing if you're the one being canceled, you know. But on the other hand, it just shows how much people care.
I think as well, like when when you react, it elongates it. When you post stuff,
Yeah.
it elongates it. It's another 24 hours of shit you're gonna have to deal with.
Yes.
Every story you post is 24 hours more of drama that you're gonna have to deal with. It's not worth it.
Yes. Just like
But
when you had your issue with Anastasia, you were
yeah,
reacting back and forth, and it went on for a few days, right?
yeah. But do you know what's funny about that one again? Like people will find a way to twist anything. She could
Mm.
have been right, so she could have been so she was actually homophobic in one of her messages. She was like, oh,
Yes, I
you and
remember.
Justin, are you loving each other or whatever? And I was
Yeah.
like, wow.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
oh my god. um you know, and everyone's like, oh, you know, Dan, you know, you're bullying her and she is in Ukraine and she's going through a lot. I was like, honey, I don't care what she's going through.
Yeah.
You do
No.
not behave this way. It doesn't
No.
matter what you're going through or where you're from, whatever.
Absolutely.
You just cannot behave that way. It's
Absolutely.
not acceptable. Um, but obviously, like people will manage to turn something so bad. She could have been racist, and there would have been people like, "Oh, leave her
Oh.
alone. She's going through a war." I'm
I
like,
know.
that doesn't excuse racism. That doesn't
That
excuse
doesn't
behaving like
excuse
this.
being a shit person. Absolutely.
Correct. Don't get me wrong. Did my heart go out to her for what she was going through? Of course, it goes out to everyone who is in Ukraine dealing with that. But it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't excuse being a shit person.
No,
Um,
absolutely.
so some of these people that you have blocked, like we were just talking about a second ago, I've blocked many people in my time. It can be, I know it sounds so silly, but for the smallest of things, it can be the small. They just have to, try commenting some crap or whatever. Or back in the day, it used to be if people were trying to tag me in stories to try and like bitch about the page. So I would just block them. I wouldn't engage. I would just block it because I'm doing them a favor. It's not, and I don't have anything against them. And what's really funny is I think people take that whole blocking so personally. But have you blocked anyone that you like? If you saw them in the street, you'd speak to them, like because I feel like with that one I was talking to about earlier, if I saw either of them now, I'd still speak to them. But I think that actually they'd be like, Dan, why are you talking to me? I thought you hated me. I'd be like, I don't hate you at all. Like, I just, I've realized that Instagram is my house. This is my page. My
Yeah.
page is my home. So I'm not going to let my neighbor, who I've never met before in real life, or someone who I barely know, come inside my front door and chat shit about me. I'm not going to do that. Why would you do that? So it's that whole thing of like, I need to protect my space and my mental health. So that's why I removed you from that space. But I know that in person, you're a different person. So I'm gonna love your time, and I'm going to enjoy being around you face to face, but I just choose not to be around you online because we're different people online.
Nice.
Have you had any people that you've blocked that you feel similar?
No, no. I think you're way more elevated than I am on that subject. Really, honestly, it's so your thinking on this is so much deeper than mine because if I blocked somebody, if I saw them on the street, I would not talk to them.
Oh no, like there's a few, like quite a few actually. Don't get me wrong, there are a few that I'd just be like, I wouldn't even give them the time of day, of course, because that's generally what blocking is for. But the page, especially, I talk about polos because obviously this is really a
Yeah,
polos podcast. But like, I talk about polos mainly because it's the page that I get the most problems. Um, it We don't have the time to determine whether someone's a good person or not, or whether their intentions were good. We got too many
no,
people we're dealing with, so we just don't. Whereas obviously you're probably getting yours very few and far between. So if someone is misbehaving or speaking to you in a certain way or being horrible, you probably have more time to analyze whether they need to be blocked or not. But we don't get that time. Like
yeah,
when me and Nadia are having to block people, if it's just the slightest bad vibe, we're just like goodbye. We just have to
yeah,
let them go because we don't have the time to be like, okay, hi, I'm just messaging you because this is a warning. Like I might have to block you. Nah, we don't have
no,
time for that
no.
shit. I don't have time for it, so I just can't do that. So this is why I put the rules up on the website, just to be on the page, just to be like, hey guys, like, listen, we're just trying to have some fun here. Have fun with me. Let's engage on the page. Let's give opinions. Let's even be offended if you want, but comment respectfully. Don't come for us personally, me or Nadia, about what we post on this page, because what we post on this page is up to us. Because guess what? It's our page and not yours. Like, unless obviously it's about something that like if I was to post something that was really homophobic, of course, yeah, by all means feel free to kick off, and you best believe that you'll get an apology almost instantly, and you'll get a public apology because I'll be like, fuck, I did not even think about that, of course. But we don't post stuff like that because we check everything we post. Are you really careful on the shit that you post? Like when you post stuff, do you look at it and think, should I post that?
Yes, I'm even careful of the music I post.
What? What? Why the music?
Yes, because there are some songs that I think it's not. Although I do enjoy them, but it's not my place to post them. If for example
Are you
there's a
talking about the
song
N
that
word?
Yes, if there's a
Right.
song that has a lot of the N word, I'm not gonna dance to it because it's not.
Oh, why? No, that's a really Did you not see the Tuesday topic we had on that?
No.
Oh, okay. This was a lot. I actually think this was probably no. We were speaking at the time, but I don't think we spoke as often.
Okay.
Um, this was a Tuesday topic a long time ago, and so many, black women came on because I say black women because obviously it's mainly black women on my page rather than any black men.
Yes.
But most of the black community, pole community, they came on and they said, well, the issue is that if you don't dance to it at all, you're no longer supporting black artists. And I didn't think of it like that because I was the same. I was like, oh, I can't dance this. Now, don't get me wrong. I do feel uncomfortable. I do feel uncomfortable
Yes.
dancing to a song that has a lot of it in. But like, there's a
Yes.
Nicki Minaj song that actually I'm dancing to at the moment. I'm teaching choreo to it. Right at the beginning, she's like, she says the N word, and then as it goes through, I don't think she really says it at all. She might say it once more again near the end, but she says it 2 times. If it was like N word, N word, N word, I wouldn't feel comfortable dancing to it. And I don't feel, like you say, I don't feel like it's a position I can dance to it. So I agree with you. So now I understand what you mean. So you're
Yes.
careful on things like that. But yeah, I agree with that. Like I said, I feel like there's two sides to that. Obviously, a lot of the black community was saying, it's important to support black artists. So if you don't listen to the music or you don't dance to it, you're actually the artists are suffering because you think you're doing a good thing. But then there were people that also said, no, yeah, you shouldn't dance to it. So you're
Exactly.
gonna
There's always two sides, so you have to weigh how you feel about it, I think, at the
correct.
end of the day.
Yeah, I want to be as respectful as I can to the black community because their community is important to me. And I
Yes.
try to think, right, where's my balance here? What's the best way that I can support black artists whilst not offending those who would be offended by it? So that's why I generally try to choose songs by black artists that just don't have that word in as much. And I feel like
Exactly.
that's such a great balance. But it's hard.
Exactly. Exactly. Because I grew up listening to Tupac and Biggie and Bone Thugs, and obviously I love their music, but it has a lot of the N word. So I'm not gonna do a video or contortion video and put those songs that I do listen to. I love them, but I just feel like I'm gonna pick. I love hip hop and rap and black artists, but I'm gonna pick a song that doesn't have too much of this or doesn't have at all. Or even, when you're choosing the passage of the song, I even
Yeah,
like see if I can find a passage that doesn't have it,
doesn't
and
have
then
it.
I'm
Yeah.
like, okay,
I
great.
agree. Yeah. But I think I think that's great that you do that because I think that's such a respectful thing to do. And I think that probably when your followers listen to this, any of your black students that listen to this will probably be like, wow, that's so nice that she's so considerate of that. I really love that you do that. And I'm going to do that now. I mean, to be honest, I don't ever really post music on social media because it's just, ugh, what's the point? They're just going to block it anyway. But like, but yeah,
No.
100%. I will. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be more mindful now. You've mentioned that if I ever do add music, I'm going to make sure. I don't think I ever have, to be honest. Yeah, I think generally, when you do a story and you add music to it, I think generally I'll relate it to whatever it's about. So if I'm like, good morning, everyone, I'll post like, Kanye West saying, good morning. Do you know what I mean? Or whatever, like all that bit. I'd find something like that to post. So yeah, so I don't generally think that
It's really
songs.
funny because I have a student who does that a lot. Linda, if you're listening, hi.
Hey,
And
Linda.
and she's one of your students too, by the way. And it's really funny because she always does that, and I'm the like I would post a beautiful like good morning with the beach, and then some really deep dark dubstep behind it.
That is
I
so
never
funny.
thought of connecting the music to what I'm posting.
Yeah, yeah, it's time consuming. Social media, I mean, okay, we're kind of gone off the topic of people being
I
cunts on the
know.
internet, but social media, like, this is the thing, like, I mean, it kind of is connected. Social media is so time consuming anyway. For artists for people like me, who all of my business comes from social media. The reason I'm doing this podcast is to raise awareness of my pages to raise awareness of me, you know, to hopefully make some money from sponsorships. This is I don't do this just for fun. It is fun because I love doing it. It's really fun making these. You know, so that's just an added bonus. But you know, it's all time consuming. It takes
Yeah.
so much time, and people think like people who do a similar job to me, they're always like, "How do you find so much time to post?" I'm like, "Listen, I I plan my posts and my training time within the minutes. Like when I train, I'm like, right, I'm training today. I'm going to do an hour and a half minimum. I have to get this many videos. And then I'm going to set
Ah,
them up as drafts. Then I'm going to post them at this time on this day. And don't get me wrong, some days I don't have any drafts set up and I need to do it and I don't have the time. And but you know, so to deal with all of that social, and then try and deal with people behaving like cunts on the internet. Oh, honey,
no,
I don't have time for you.
no.
I'm too busy. I'm too busy. And it
Wait,
also
so when you post all your poll videos, because I see you post every day some poll videos, are they like sometimes videos that you shot all in one day and then you post this one this day? That really?
so top top secret information here. Yeah, like don't tell anyone, okay?
No,
I
no.
know lots of people will be listening to this, but don't tell anyone. I will sometimes train, and if so right, so when I go on holiday, I will train. I will do 2 videos with one set of pole shorts on. I'll then get changed. I'll put another set of pole shorts on and I'll do another 2 videos and then I'll put another pair on and I might do another 2 or 3 videos so that it doesn't look so obvious that I did them all in one day.
Oh, bless you.
It's and you know what? In a way, that's kind of sad, really, because my I don't get to enjoy pole like I used to. Because obviously back in the day when I was just training, I wouldn't have cared if I was recording stuff. I didn't need content for anything.
Yeah.
But this is the world we live in now. People need the content to be engaging with your stuff, to make sure that you're relevant, to know what you're going to be teaching in your classes. If I don't post stuff, people don't know what I'm teaching online. If I don't post stuff, people don't know that I've got workshops coming up. And it's important. So I really am struggling to find that balance. However, this year I've booked a pole camp. I'm going to a pole camp, a colder pole camp in December with my friend Ali. And I'm so excited to learn for myself. I'm so excited to be a
Yeah.
student. And obviously, you do that, don't you? You're a student with Olga, right? How was that experience for you?
I love it. I mean, I love being a student so much. I can't say that enough. It's so important. And even to learn something that, because, okay, with Olga, I learned contortion, handstands. That's my business.
Hmm.
That's what I make my money from. But I'm also a student of belly dance, which I don't monetize. And I love it for that because I'm not planning on making any money from it, but I love it, like just being a student,
Yeah,
and being a student is amazing.
yeah. It's really funny. I mentioned this to you the other day. Like, again, it's so funny because the person that I said earlier on that, you know, I had to block and I don't hate them or anything. I just had to block them from my space. I'm definitely going to go and take some lessons from
Yeah.
them. And I'm actually even thinking of signing up to their like online portal because I love their stuff. And I like learning. I enjoy being a student. It's just I don't get much time to do that, you know. And I like supporting other people that do what I do, and you know she does what I do, and at some point I might do Jacobs as well. I'd like to do Jacobs. It's just finding the time. Oh God, it's so
Yeah.
hard finding the time. But you know, and obviously I want to make sure that I prioritize my students because they are my priority always. So obviously I go to the studio twice a week, and then I teach online at least 3 times a week. It's a lot. So to add on top of that is quite hard. But
Yes.
I need to like why do you think it's important, especially for teachers? And I'm just intrigued more from a contortion point of view for you. Why do you think it's important for us to, you know, I always say it's so important because if you're a teacher, you should always be learning because what you learn, you can then pass on to your students. So it's really good for you to continue your learning. Also, so you keep the love for it. Is it very similar for you?
Yes, absolutely. Because I think you come to one point when you stop learning, you stagnate. And then obviously when you're stagnating somewhere, after some time it's gonna bore you and you're only gonna see it as a job, a duty, not a hobby. But then if you continue working on yourself, like I get so excited when I nail a good handstand, or, when Olga teaches me a new variation of something or a new contortion exercise, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, not only I'm going to show it to my bitches later on, but also, it's like, wow, actually, yes, this is, and then it changes your perspective, and you, like you say, you keep the love for the art that you do, and not only like, oh yeah, it's a chore, I have to teach. It's like, no, it's
Yeah.
amazing. Let's, yeah.
I mean, I love teaching. It's one of the main reasons I'm still in the pole industry. Truly, because like obviously the subject of this podcast is why people behave like cunts on the internet. But you know, that side of it does bother me. But it's only a small part of what I do. I'm saying that it's probably about 50% of it. But the other 50% of the teaching and running my businesses and stuff, it totally outweighs it. So it's like the other
Yeah.
day when I'd found out that people had kicked off about something. I was like, oh, that's sad. And then I taught online, and after I was like, I feel so much better now. It's
Yeah.
one of those things, like, you just feel so good after that teaching. You feel great, and it's so nice. I love that. So and I love that, obviously, like, you get the same sort of kick out of it. So I guess, really, to summarize them, just to kind of finish
Yes.
off our chat for today, why are people cunts on the internet?
I don't know, I'm a cunt in real
did
life,
we
so
yeah, exactly, did we come up with an answer to the question? I don't think we did we? We talked a lot about it, but I don't think we found the answer.
there is no, I think there's many different reasons why people are cunts on the internet. And like you said, therapy is a great thing.
100% is. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like you said, you and me, we say it how it is. We say what we think, but I like to think it does come from a place of love. I think making
Yeah.
sure it comes from a place of love for anyone out there listening to this who cares to listen. Well, thank you for listening, by the way. But
Thank
if you're
you for
listening to
listening.
this, yeah, thank you for listening. If you are listening to this, and you yourself have commented on some of the stuff in a negative way, it is worth thinking, like, I always try to think, I'm going to comment on this, am I going to be happy with the reaction I'm going to get from it, and will it make me anxious, will it make me feel good, what value is it going to add to the conversation? And 99 times out of like 100, it's very much like, it's just going to get a bad reaction, it's not worth it.
Absolutely.
And I just think, you know what? Just sit back and enjoy everyone else's mess. That's one thing, actually, that I have noticed. Sitting back and just watching everyone else kill each other is so much more fun than getting involved. And that sounds so bad, but it is so
But
true.
it's true. It's
And
true.
me and my
That's us. That's us on the phone.
Yeah, well, it's so true, isn't it? Like, we'll be like, oh my God, have you seen this? Have you seen this? Like, me and my friend Stacey, like, Stacey, bless her, she runs some big businesses in the UK. She's done very well for herself, and she's very big name. She's a very big name in the UK pole industry. Everyone knows who she is. So, and as part of that, she gets a lot of shit,
Oh yeah.
and she, over the years as well, like me, she's gotten very good at, learning how to ignore it. And it's hard. And actually, so much of what I've learned about ignoring it has come from her. But, sometimes she'll call me and she'll just be like, it's so much more fun just sitting back and watching it, isn't it? I'm like, isn't it? I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, why did I ever get involved in stuff? And she's the same now. She's like, she won't even touch it now. She won't respond. She won't bite. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes, obviously, if she gets complaints or whatever about her competitions, or whatever, she does have to respond to it. But she's so professional. She's so good. Literally, she's really good at dealing with things like that. And actually, like, whenever I'm unsure of how to deal with something, I might call her first and be like, right, I need a screwed on head here, Stace. Tell me how to deal with this. And she's very good at that. But anyone doing something worth talking about on the internet is going to get hate. It's inevitable. So I guess,
Absolutely.
like, try and make it come from a good place, have good intentions at heart, and can't go wrong then, can you really? If your
No.
intentions are pure, if your I always, and again, this might be a controversial one, if someone is accidentally homophobic, let's say. You know, my PT actually, a young guy, very young, he's lovely. But I remember once he was like, oh no, I'm not going to do that. It's a bit gay. And then he instantly was like, oh fuck. And I just laughed. It came from a place of love. He wasn't trying to be homophobic towards me. He wasn't
No.
even trying to be homophobic. He was just like, it's just that stupid passing comment. Now, some people might
Yeah.
disagree with that and be like, yeah, well, obviously he shouldn't have said it at all. I agree. Maybe he shouldn't have.
Yeah,
But
but
he's
people
19.
make mistakes, and yeah,
He's 19 years old. He didn't mean it with ill intent. Of course, and like, don't get me wrong, if I said to him, listen, I was actually a bit offended by that, he would be so apologetic. Oh my God, he'd
yeah,
be mortified.
and he
I
would be
wasn't.
feeling like shit, like really.
Yeah. It's like, don't get me wrong, like, you know, it's just one of those things, isn't it? He didn't mean it to offend anybody. So for me, so long as the intent is there to be good, I'm good with it. Are you the same?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So just to wrap up, can you just tell us where people can find you? What's your Instagram handle, please?
At Shelastic Wolf.
So she said shelastic, but I'm gonna say it in English for you. So at shelastic. So SHELASTIC_wolf. Shelastic. She was like with her Serbian accent. It is at shelastic wolf. I was like, okay, I'm gonna just I'm just gonna reset it just in case. And you're teaching obviously online. You teach online flexibility classes. I can
I
tell
do.
everybody, before I injured my back, I did have back bending classes, and they're amazing. So definitely do go and check those out. And obviously they've got all the information they can find on your page, can't they?
Absolutely, everything they need to see.
Well, obviously, I will have to have you back on again because I just love talking to you. So we'll have another
Yes,
chat again soon. We'll think of something else to talk about. But until
yes.
next time,
Next time we will talk about manifestation.
yes. Oh, yes, we actually do need to do one on manifestation because I love
Yes.
talking about that. Yeah. Okay, well, until next time, babe. Lots of
Thank you
love.
so much. Mwah, thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you got something from it. If you did, drop me a message and let me know. I would love to have any feedback or just find out who else you'd like to have on the show. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe. And if you're on Spotify or iTunes, make sure you're following the podcast so you can be up to date on all the new episodes. See you next time.
That was all the tea that you can get this week. Join me next time right here. It's the Weekly Tea.